Hello, everybody. This is chapter 19, part 19. Sorry for not uploading on Monday and Friday. I was doing stuff the whole day, so I couldn't find the time to record. Alright, let's just get into it. Tsunade art. Their journey hadn't been too long before Jiraiya met his informant in a strip club. Apparently, my genjutsu side effect works when he's not paying. How sad is that? From what he was told, Tsunade was in the village they were now entering. Now all they had to do was find her and convince her to return home. Okay, Naruto, Jiraiya spoke. My sources told me that she is somewhere in here. He looked around. Look for any signs of unnatural damage near bars or casinos, he ordered. She tends to be aggressive when she loses. He took a serious tone. We could hear her. We could be here for a while. I need to do some research to gain some information while you or Naruto spoke, cutting him off. I could look for the largest largest chakra source in the area. Censors, Jiraiya sighed. Takes all the fun out of the hunt. Hunt? Naruto questioned. We're trying to find our future leader, not be predators, Naruto shouted. We need to get from that Orochimaru, and there is my first. With no better plan, they decided to follow Naruto's idea. They ended up in front of a bar just as Jiraiya stated they would. They found Tsunade with her assistant and pig. I was denied rabbit stew. Now I can make it up with pork. Tsunade, Jiraiya called. Long time no see. Jiraiya? She was shocked, to say the least. What are you doing here? What? He faked hurt. Can't I visit an old friend? No, she said, and Naruto said. Whose side are you on? Jiraiya asked Naruto. The side that gets that pig in my belly, Naruto answered. Oink. Naruto took his eyes off the pig and on the lady holding him. He was focused on the female Sanin. Are you Tsunade? He asked. Yes, she answered, eyeing Naruto cautiously. And you are? I am Naruto Uzumaki, he answered proudly. Uzumaki? She asked. Are you Kushina's boy? Yes, he took her hand, giving it a light kiss. It's an honor to meet you. Tsunade could not hold down her blush. My Slugheim, Jiraiya, Tsunade spoke. If you took lessons from him, you could actually get a lady that didn't charge. That's just not fair, Jiraiya grumbled. I am Jiraiya the Gallant. Why don't I get respect? He asked before pointing to Naruto. Don't you already have enough women with your girlfriends and 2 fiancés? Girlfriend? Fiancés? Oink. I will eat you. Oink. I am in a very open relationship with my Heims, Naruto stated calmly. And QB Heim is actually demanding that I have more Heims so she can be an Alpha Heim. Well, I'm impressed, Tsunade admitted. But I'm a bit old for you. I know you're as old as that pervert over there, Naruto stated. He almost earned a chakra punch to the face, almost. But I see no problem with that, he admitted. To me, it only makes you more of a fine wine. Tsunade turned a shade of red that puts tomatoes to shame. Why couldn't you be that smooth? She asked Jiraiya. So how open was that relationship you mentioned? Very, Naruto answered. Just 3 conditions, which are, you must honestly love me, he stated. Come back to be our Hokage, he continued, and let me roast that pig. What? I'm hungry for... No, she shouted. About being the Hokage, she glared at Jiraiya. Explain. Jiraiya told Tsunade everything that happened and how they ended up searching for her. For Orochimaru failed his invasion to the third Hokage's finally stepping down. Needless to say, she was not pleased with any of it. Are you out of your mind, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. Why would I want that fool's title? That question struck a nerve in our favorite blonde. Naruto is going to have to choke a bitch. Tsunade, the village needs you, Tsunade, Jiraiya stated. I think all you could do is help. Forget it, she stated. I'm never going to that village again. It looks like Naruto is going to have to choke a bitch. Pathetic, Naruto spoke. I expected better from you. What are you rambling on about? You aren't the one I was told of, Naruto stated in disappointment. There was the woman, the Hokage, and this pervert fool spoke highly of. He asked, outraged. This caused Tsunade to lower her head in shame. All I see is a spoiled woman drowning herself in her own self-pity. He gave a mock sigh. I guess Jiraiya really was the good student out of the Sannin. I feel really disappointed. What happened to all of that fine wine you spoke? It's spoiled, Naruto answered. Now, all that's left is a rotten grape juice. You want to take this outside? She asked. But Tsunade, Naruto stated, we are outside. Tsunade was confused by the statement and looked around. Sure enough, they were outside. They were in the middle of the street. When did we? She looked to Naruto. You, Naruto, it would be better if we weren't being eyed by passing strangers, Jiraiya stated. Real or not, fine. And like that, it was over. The shinobi were back inside the bar. I need a drink, Tsunade groaned. I never knew why people liked genjutsu, Tsunade stated. It's only used for hiding. Tsunade, how is your sake? Tsunade knew there was something wrong the minute he asked that question. She was proven correct when she felt something squirm in her mouth. There was no hesitation to spit it all onto Jiraiya. Now the toad Sannin was covered in sake, spit, and squirming maggots. Are you trying to piss me off? You could have killed me. If I wanted to do that, Naruto spoke, you'd be dead. A voice whispered in her ear, forcing her to turn around to nothing. Angering you on the other hand is so easy. It's almost no fun. That's it, she shouted. You, me, outside, Lady Tsunade, Shinsa called. Be careful, Jiraiya warned. Don't take this lightly. Don't worry, Jiraiya, Tsunade called. I won't hurt your apprentice. I was talking to you, Tsunade, Jiraiya spoke in a rare moment of seriousness. He forced Orochimaru, his elites, and the first 2 Hokages to retreat, he stated, after defeating a Hyuga and one of the tailed demon containers. Please, Jiraiya, Tsunade waved off. It seems that you got It seems he got you with a genjutsu a little too well. Tsunade and Naruto stood face to face outside of the bar. Shinsu tried to get Tsunade to calm down, but she wasn't paying the apprentice any attention. All she wanted was to put this brat in its place. I'll give you one chance, brat, Tsunade spoke. Just give up and I'll let you walk away in peace. We both know I won't, Naruto stated. Fine, Tsunade growled. I'll go easy on you. She gained a smirk, having seen far too arrogant. I'll only use one finger to beat you. Fine. We both know I won't. Huh? I'll give you one chance, brat, Tsunade spoke. Just give up and I'll let you walk in peace. We both know I won't, Naruto stated. Fine, Tsunade growled. I'll go easy on you. She gained a smirk from Naruto, as seen far from often. She gained a smirk Naruto has seen far too often, a smirk of arrogance. I'll only use one finger to beat you. If that's how it will be, Naruto spoke. I will only use genjutsu. That irked her. I'm a Sannin brat, she growled. Do you think you can beat me with a simple genjutsu? If you're like the other two Sannin, then yes, he answered. You become too focused on your specialty that you ignore the other arts, like genjutsu. Everything Naruto had said was completely true. Tsunade, like the others, had focused mainly on her strength and healing. Genjutsu or even ninjutsu was far from her top skills. But she couldn't admit it. But she wouldn't admit it. I'm a Sannin, for crying out loud, she thought. That's when it happened. Nothing. She felt some kind of shift, but absolutely nothing happened. It seemed her fears have came to surface and stayed. Naruto stared at her in a simple smile. The window blew, pushing her hair and ruffling his blindfold. It picked up harder and blew her hair loose. 1 minute he was across from her, the next he was pushing her back in her place. He had moved with the speed she couldn't see. In a swift movement, he drew his sword and cleaved her in half. From side to side, Tsunade fell to the ground in shock and untold pain. Is this how I die? It's different from what I had always expected. Killed by a child. Hey, you better not be falling asleep on me, Naruto shouted. That's the same as giving up. She looked around and at herself. Her body was unscathed from the blow. Her breath hitched as she fell to her knees, trying to regain her breath. She was alive. You brat, she called. What did you do to me? I showed you some useless genjutsu, he mocked. I never even drew my sword, so I kept the end of our deal. Well, I'll keep mine as well, she stated. By showing this, one finger can go through your skull. Tsunade ran forward in a fury, index finger raised for action. Pulling back, she let her finger fly towards Naruto's head. Naruto just stood there as the older blonde passed right through him. She never had a chance in the world. She never had the chance as the world began to grow larger around her. No, she was growing smaller. As she shrunk, her age began to reduce. Now she was a little kid again. If you want to keep acting like a spoiled brat, then I'll treat you like one, he spoke. I am going to do what your parents should have done. Naruto grabbed her by the wrist and placed her over his knees. She tried to struggle, but it was as if all her strength had left her. It was as if she really was a child. So she did what all children do. She threw a tantrum. Let me go, brat, or I will smack. Tsunade dropped in her tracks as she felt the blow to her backside. Did you just smack? Ow! When I get out of this, I am going to smack, smack. Ouch! Stop that, you smack, 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 smack. Ow, mommy, wah. Naruto finally relented and restored her to her rightful age. He sat on She sat on her legs as she massaged her bottom. Tsunade turned to her apprentice can't say her name. Shizune, there you go. Shizune and her former partner Jiraiya. She glared at the snickering pair in complete embarrassment. Tsunade was enraged and ran forward, index finger raised for action. Pulling back, she let her finger fly towards Naruto's head. It seemed she was really intent to keep her word. Naruto just stood there as the older blonde passed through him. I'm getting real tired of this brat, she shouted. You and me both, Grandma, Naruto stated behind her. Caught off guard by the close range of the younger man, she acted on reflex. Drawing her hand back, she delivered a devastating full-powered punch to the blonde, only for it to be blocked by the side of the Kusanagi blade he wielded. I win, Naruto stated. How? She asked. You drew your sword. Wrong, he spoke. This is still a genjutsu, he spoke, causing the area to shudder. I never drew my blade. Then how did you block my punch? She shouted. I'm a genjutsu master, he spoke. I can make you think you punched a block of iron without your strength. With nothing more to say, he made his way back to the bar. Tsunade knew he lost, but she wouldn't go easily. She was going to make sure she delivered a blow that hurt a lot. If I can't physically hurt him, then I'll give him one through the heart, she thought. Pathetic, she shouted. You're nothing like your mother. This stopped him at the entrance. What? Naruto growled. She never hid behind such techniques. Tsunade continued. I bet if she were alive, then she would be ashamed to have you as a son. She paused. I know a bet that I will win. A large gash appeared on the doorway, as if it had been hacked. Another appeared and another after the other. They made their way along towards Tsunade as Naruto walked towards her. Tsunade knew this wasn't a genjutsu. It was a technique she was familiar with, quicksword. And it attacks an attack that moves at high speeds that an average eye can't match. It's used by moving a single arm at a rapid pace with no traceable chakra, just pure speed. This technique would cut her down had she not seen it or known of it. Tsunade stepped back and opened both of her hands. Using as much chakra as she could muster, she clapped. The force of her hands created a small shockwave. I admit that was impressive, Tsunade spoke. but it was far too slow. This drew confused looks. Your mother was able to pull techniques off. Your mother was able to pull that technique off in her sleep. With her superior speed, she smirked. I really believe that she would be upset to see that you can't use it probably. Shut up, old hag, Naruto shouted. I have this technique down packed. I will have this technique down packed in 1 week. Really? Tsunade asked. Would you care to put a wager on it? What kind? Naruto asked. If you master it in a week, then I'll come back to Konoha. And if I fail, oh, there's always a catch, he thought. You give me your swords. They should help me pay off my debts. Deal. He turned to leave, but not before Tsunade finished. You should be practicing, Naruto, she mocked. Nami won't be able to help you. He stopped and undid his blindfold. He turned to meet the eyes of Tsunade. Then he turned to leave. A warm liquid began to fall out of her mouth, then another and another, like rain. However, rain didn't come in a red color. This can't be blood, but it was. Tsunade could never forget the warm feeling of the liquid across her skin. The mental smell and the flavor carried it. The memories contained it was blood. Tsunade was too stunned to move as it came down in a heavy pour. The blood rain began to come down harder and faster by the second. A few feet always, the drops began to stop and sighed, as if on something. It began to take the faces of the two most important people in her life. Tsunade-chan, big sister, why didn't you save us? Tsunade couldn't believe what she saw. It was her little brother and former lover. They were becoming clearer and clearer by the second. In the way, she was the best remembrance of them. Unfortunately for her, that wasn't a good thing. She best remembers them as they were the last time they saw. No, dying. No, they were covered in blood. No, suffering. No, all because she couldn't save them. Don't make me see them, she wailed. Not like this. But they wouldn't go away. They stayed there begging for an answer. One she couldn't give. It seemed like the haunting would go on forever. That she would forever see her loved ones as some form of punishment. It almost started to seem like death would be better. Then it happened. The world shattered. Everything was back as it should have been. She looked around and saw both Shinzo and Jiraiya beside her. They were the ones who broke the genjutsu and freed her. She looked around and there were no signs of her former host anywhere. That boy made a tough genjutsu. Damn it. Shizune observed. We almost didn't break it. What? Tsunade drawing called. I don't know what the brat showed you, but know this. All form of the pervert was gone. Only a shinobi was left. You deserved it. You had no right to say those things, he growled. But he is an orphan who finally found something to make him feel close to his mom, Jiraiya spoke. Then you go and say those things. He shouldn't have spoke. The truth, Jiraiya stated, cutting her off. You are just a shell of your former self. He gave a sigh. You know Kushina would have been very proud of his progress, maybe even a little jealous. The toad sage turned to leave. Wait, Jiraiya-sama. Damn it. Shinzu called. What was that? In the middle of the street there was a scroll. Jiraiya picked it up and it was addressed to all of them. He cautiously opened it and read out loud. Dear old hag, pervy sage Shinzu-san. Damn it. Dear old hag, pervy sage Shinzu-san, and lunch. That means you, pig. He wrote in parentheses. If you are reading this, then you finally got the old hag out of the illusion. I'm going to blow off some steam, so stay away. Beware, Naruto. P.S. Dodged. Jiraiya did the opposite of dodging. He tossed the scroll into the air, using chakra to push it further. It landed in an empty part of the park. It was a smart decision. The scroll went up in a massive fireball. It consumed the area. Luckily, there was no one there. The park, however, would never recover from the flames. Is he trying to kill us? Shinzu asked. Probably. Jiraiya sighed. It was late in the night, or early in the morning, if you want to be technical. Tsunade had finally recovered from the shock of Naruto's genjutsu. Now she was trying to find him. She had been searching for several hours with no hope. After a while, she attempted to just go and drink some sake. However, something inside her kept pulling her. Damn, brat, where are you? That was the wind. That was wind. She found him. He was in an empty area that was once full of trees. Now it was mostly just splinters on clear-cut wood left. How long has he been out here? She finally saw how hard he's been pushing himself. She would never know he was in Uzumaki after all. What do you want? Tsunade Naruto asked in a cold tone. What are you doing here? Training, he answered simply. Naruto, she spoke. How would you like to add to the bet? Depends, he answered. What are the stakes? If you can finish the technique in a week, she spoke, then I'll give you this. She held out her necklace. The necklace of the first Hokage. Naruto couldn't help but eye her with great suspicion. This was, after all, one of the most valuable objects in the world. On top of that, it was her family heirloom. Her family. What's the catch? If you lose, she spoke, then you give up on trying to master your mother's sword style. So that's your game, he muttered. Pretty steep stakes on my end, don't you think? Then raise the stakes, she responded. Fine. He thought on it. When I win, I want the pig. Fine. Then raise the stake, she responded. Fine. He thought on it. If when I win, I want the pig. Tauntaun? Tsunade asked. Why would you want her? I'm going to eat her, Naruto answered. What else? There was no sign of humor in his voice. Tsunade was at a crossroad. By accepting the bet, she would be putting Tauntaun's life in danger. If she lost, then Tsunade Then Shinzu would never forgive her. I can't back out now, she thought. Deal. Gonna enjoy that pig, he thought. I'll strangle it with my bare hands. Watch the light strain from its eyes. And eat her for dinner. His mouth was watering in the implication. Tail, gristle, teeth, all of it. But until then, how would you like to have dinner with me, Tsunade? He asked. Or breakfast at this point. After all of that, she shouted, You have the balls to ask me out on a date? Yes, I do, he answered immediately. You little. I have rare sake. Naruto cut her off. From Kumo, he continued. I want to play poker while we eat. That's the end of part 19, chapter 19. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for not uploading on Monday and Friday. If there's anything wrong, you guys comment it down below. If you guys enjoyed it, if you guys could like, that would be appreciated. And thanks for watching or listening.